Welcome to the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. I'm Buddy Pulley.
I'm Seth Dolby.
And we have local hooker Chase Elliott on the show this week. Fresh off his playoff miss.
That would
we'll
be
talk
wrong.
About that.
Well, yeah, people named Chase just weren't meant to be in the playoffs this year. So that's why I'm sitting here on the Big Motor Small Blade podcast because I don't have anywhere to be next week.
Yeah. So, we have frontstretch.com's Chase Folsom on the show, and we're going to talk about Daytona, obviously. And we're also talking about Wake County Speedway Cars Tour and a little bit of Milwaukee. Next on the show. Thank you.
Buddy can't podcast without a yum.
I can't.
Okay, so is Nyon like the key to like
now?
Nyon.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was its own stupid thing where we did that 9,000 times over
I assume you guys like cut these out and edit them and stuff.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Who's you guys? What do you mean by you guys?
Which one of you edited it? Jesus
100%.
Who do you think? Who do you think edits?
I didn't want to assume. It's 2023. Anybody could be an editor if they want to be an editor.
I said the mic make loud noise and the headphones go blah blah blah.
Fair. Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. You can leave that in. What's up? What the fuck is up?
Denny's what?
Yeah,
what?
I haven't seen that. Y'all haven't seen that? The dude, it's like some teenagers. They're like performing at the Denny's Grand Slam.
What's up? What's up? What the fuck is up, Denny's?
Oh,
yeah. What's up? What's up? What the fuck is up, Denny's?
Chase,
like this teenage like metal band playing.
I've never
Denny's.
Seen that. Look.
Oh, dude, it's hilarious.
I may be 19, but I use social media like I'm 45. I have no clue what I'm doing on that stuff. So,
well, it's been around for about that long. So,
yeah,
exactly. So I still haven't found it yet. That tells you something.
All right, I'll send it to you later, along with something else. Anyway, let's start. I guess we'll start out talking about Wake County. Wake County Speedway. Obviously, it's in Raleigh, North Carolina. So, me being from Raleigh, North Carolina, of course, I've been in this track a whole total of now one time. But the car store was there. Carson Quapple won. Chase, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about that because you actually covered the Cars Tour.
So, yeah, I had never been to Wake County either. It's a little quarter-mile bull ring. Pretty cool place, actually. They just repaved it this year.
America's favorite bull ring.
America's favorite bull ring, as it's called. Yes. Slinger and Thunder Road and Anderson would all like a word, but that's a discussion for another time. It was actually a really good race. I was surprised with the new repave. I didn't know if it would be good or not. And I was also surprised that A, Carson Quapple qualified 18th, and then B, he still won after he qualified 18th. So it doesn't seem to matter. Carson Quapple's really good at driving race cars. I talked to him afterwards, and he said it was more driver error than anything is the reason why he qualified 18th. And I'd have to agree.
I can tell.
He honestly drove it off into turn 3 about 20 feet farther than everybody.
And then parked it.
Yeah, which is why he was just about dirt tracking off of 4. So I'm surprised he outqualified anybody, if I'm being honest. That track is actually looks pretty fun. And it's sad because they might not even be on the schedule next year. They got dropped for Wilkesboro last year, and there's talks that they won't be on it next year because Orange County wants back on the schedule. And I just think it's kind of dumb because there's only so many quarter-mile tracks left, and I don't understand why we keep almost forcing them out. It doesn't make sense to me because every time any series goes to a quarter mile, it's an awesome race. Yeah. So there's no reason
why, but
we all know why. That's why.
Yeah, money.
Yeah. It's lack of money being paid and amount of money being spent when you tear up half the field. But if you're only doing it once a year, then
it's not like we tore up it that meant we didn't hardly tear up shit at Wake County.
honestly, I found out afterwards because I went and talked to a bunch of people. A lot of the cars that parked it mid race, they pretty much overheated because they knocked the radiator out of it, and that's it. And it wasn't even because like they really caved the nose in that bad. It was just so hot, and they were using so much brake.
It was hotter than the devil's left nut and wool underwear out there.
Yeah. So just the track temp was hot, brakes were hot, everything was hot. And then you cave the nose in a little bit, and now the car can't breathe. And it's not really the track's fault, though. It's, if anything, stop scheduling a race in Raleigh, North Carolina in the middle of August. Run there, which they scheduled a pro race in July. So it's not like that was any better. That race was actually terrible. I'm not upset that I wasn't at that one. That race is the reason that quarter miles get a bad rap, is because they started 11 cars and finished 5.
Hell yeah.
How do
That's some Busch Clash shit.
That's like, what year was it? Was it 19 that Eric Jones won the Clash with half of a race car?
2020.
Or was that 20 before the world ended?
Yeah.
That's like that level of dumb. So, I hope Wake County's back next year because it's a really cool place. And
they had a really good bologna burger.
I didn't. Was it
fantastic bologna burger? And they had fried Reese's. So you get to talk about all the like.
Dude, I don't even know why I didn't try the fried Reese's.
And like, bro, they had great food. Great food at Wake County Speedway. Like, and I got pretty hammered, and it was about as good of a time as it could have been.
I will say this: if you were driving through Raleigh, North Carolina, and whatever road that racetrack is on, if you didn't know there was a racetrack there before you passed it,
you had no clue.
Wouldn't know after you passed it either. I mean,
dude, you would have thought the sign looks like they stole it from Wake County Speedway.
Literally, Seth and I pulled up, and this guy is like braking in front of me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is he slowing down so much for? And then I glanced over to the left, and it says Wake County Speedway, and I looked down at my GPS, and I'm like, oh, we're here.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you pull up and you're like, oh, we're in like some country bumpkin.
We're pulling into some dude's backyard.
Yeah. He's got old trucks parked out back, tools everywhere. Like, I mean, he's got like a skeleton wearing a flannel. Like, it's the whole 9 yards. And then there's a fucking racetrack.
And then when you first pull up too, you see Seth was like, oh my God, look at the grandstands. Cause they look so tall and like almost raggedy from the back. But like you walk in and they're actually not bad at all. They're actually kind of nice.
It's a very nice facility.
It's nice once you get in. It's just from the outside, you're looking at it and you're like, dude, whose yard is this? And why am I here?
Circle to Raleigh's yard.
Overall, it was fun. I hope they go back next year.
Yeah.
And Carson Quapple should be in some sort of a truck ride. Bring back JRM's truck team.
Yeah. I mean, you look at, I've only been to a handful of car store races since he's been running, and he's won basically all of them. So
I'm going to go like, just for a second, full like car store journalist mode here. The kid, even when he's having an off day, doesn't have bad days.
Yeah.
There's all of the drivers in that series are talented, especially the young ones, and they will all go somewhere higher up than where they are now someday. He is the only one that is ready to move up right now, in my opinion, because Butterbean is really good. Brendan Queen is an amazing race car driver, but he, and I'll give it to him. He's been in a battle with Quapple all year long for a championship, but he has missed out on capitalizing on Carson's mistakes all year long. And Carson has always capitalized. Carson always steps up when Butterbean stumbles, and Brendan always stumbles when Carson stumbles.
Yeah. It definitely seems like Carson is wise beyond his years. Like he definitely has such a good head on his shoulders, and Butterbean still, you could tell he's a little bit still wet behind the ears.
But he's like, he even admitted Saturday night that when he got spun by I think Chad McCumbee spun him. It was his fault. He admitted it was his fault. He said he was looking at his gauges and didn't get enough room.
That's Dale Jr. to you, actually.
What? But
we will live in the 3 movie canon. Damn it.
if you're in a championship battle and you know the guy you're racing for a championship is somewhere back in 15th, you can't spin yourself looking at your gauges.
Yeah.
And no hate to him because he's a nice guy and he's a great race car driver, and he'll learn. He'll get there. But Carson's ready to move up to something now. And he's about to win his second championship in a row. So
yeah,
something will come together next year.
Maybe he can hop in like a GMS.
Yeah. Too bad that's not a thing anymore, right?
Rip in pepperoni.
There is no faster race car, well, in this case, race truck, than a team that knows that they will not be employed there anymore in 8 weeks. Because they went out on Sunday and, for lack of better terms,
took a bit on
whooped the shit out of the field.
Yeah.
Like Grant Enfinger. You know, it was funny because like I was thinking Sunday morning, this feels like a Grant Enfinger race. Milwaukee feels like Grant Enfinger's going to win here. And you don't say that about many places, but sure enough, Grant Enfinger won there. And
I promise you, I've never said that about ever. Ever in my life as I woke up in the morning and be like, fucking Grant Enfinger, man.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. So I had a feeling he was going to win. And then I turned it on in stage 3 and he's like, I went back and watched the recap and I'm like, yep, he won stage 1, he won stage 2. And now he's driving away. Okay, good to know. Like Grant Enfinger just showed up a second faster than the field today.
Yeah. Well, Ty Majeski's little advantage didn't work too well.
Yeah, did you hear that was? Did either of you hear Hocevar's comment on it?
I did not.
I didn't hear what I heard he said they had something, but he didn't say what, did he?
Pretty much, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure what I saw that he said after the race was NASCAR took the 98's superpower away, so now we can all race for wins again.
Yeah.
That's
what
someone strong.
DBC said something about bleeders.
I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I haven't looked into it.
So we'll see what happens.
Oh,
Seth said it was something with the Holy Trinity. So
that was the quote. That was the quote I read. It was in the Holy Trinity: engine, tires, and fuel. So
yeah.
Well, we'll find out soon enough.
Yep.
Probably
it did explain why all of a sudden they were tearing it up.
Well, they were going. Yeah. I mean, they came out of the gate at Richmond and they were going mock Jesus. Like, that's a Chase Folsom original right there.
I'll take credit for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Any comment on Wake County, Seth?
I had fun.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Let me remove my cat from the table and then we'll talk about Daytona. All right, let's do this. All right, Daytona. Let's do it. All right.
Oh, wrong week for that. Wrong week.
Yeah, I don't know if we should.
I don't think we should.
Oh, wow. Y'all took that in a fucking direction. I was just saying it.
Well,
anyway. The regular season finale. I love that Daytona is the regular season finale.
I hate it.
I think you're probably the only one, buddy, at least on this show.
Well, here's how I look at it. It's gonna be there. It's gonna be in the regular season. So, like, it doesn't really matter where. So you're gonna get the stupid winner every now and then, no matter if it's the last race of the regular season or it's race 2. Like, it doesn't matter.
You are significantly more likely to get the ridiculous winner when it's the last race than you are when it's in the middle. And I'm not saying we need to go back to July 4th. Obviously, there's a reason we haven't.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's exciting, I guess, but it's dumb. It's really dumb.
Even if they made it the second to last race, I'd be okay with that. I just don't like the idea of basically what happened last year, where you have the guy 3rd and 4th in points, and they did everything right except for win a race all year to be 3rd and 4th in points. And then something stupid happens, like what happened in turn 1 last year. And Austin Dillon decides to win his biannual race. And all of a sudden he's in the playoffs and Truex and Blaney are running around with wrecked race cars trying to be like, shoot, which one of us that deserves a shot to race for a championship isn't going to race for a championship. It's just stupid. Like, give them at least a legitimate shot to go out and earn their way in the last race, not Daytona.
I mean, they had
I don't like
25
it.
weeks to do that.
You're right. They did. They did.
And win. Yeah. To
I don't
each his
know.
own.
It is what it is.
Yeah, so obviously playoff finale. We'll talk about the actual race first. We want to just tackle the big ones.
I would, yeah, we can.
All right,
do
let's
that.
get into it. All right. So we'll start with the first big one. Ryan Blaney gets hooked into the wall by Ty Gibbs off the front bumper of Christopher Bell. We all saw it. That was a bad wreck. But it did look a whole lot better than, say, the Ryan Preece wreck at Talladega. As far as like the impact, like I mean, obviously,
Yeah, the
different
damage to the car.
Yeah.
That was, yeah. I mean, like we said, I think we said this when we were watching, but for them to have made this significant of a change mid-season and it worked.
Yeah.
I think that's positive. Kudos to NASCAR for sure.
I will say my only issue with it, and we should go back and tell the story of me accidentally calling the wreck 4 hours
yes,
later.
we'll
get to that in a second. We'll get to that in a second. But my only issue with it is Blaney gets out, right? And he's okay. And everybody, oh, thank God he's okay. He's not hurt. I'm tired of having to worry about these guys being hurt. I know it's a race. It's racing. There's always a chance you can get hurt. Chase Elliott took that same hit in the 2018 Daytona 500 and not a soul worried if he was okay because the Gen 6 was so safe.
Yeah.
Alex Bowman and Kyle Larson said it, 19 Talladega. Same thing. And it was all like, oh man, well, these cars are so safe, they'll get out of it. And you know what? Kyle Larson broke his ribs in that wreck. And it was like, oh my gosh, he actually got hurt.
Yeah.
Like those cars were so safe. And I'm tired of accepting the fact that we downgraded in safety. And it's not like we're sacrificing safety for a good race car because the car sucks on half the tracks we go to. So I'm not going to shy away from saying that. It is terrible for 50% of the schedule.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They're making improvements and I'm glad they're making improvements, but I don't want them to stop because it's still stupid that we downgraded in safety.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I don't think they are stopping. I would imagine this was a well thought out but a relatively quick fix. I wouldn't be surprised if they did something else over the off season. But yeah, the story behind the actual wreck. So we got home from Wake County. We had the race recorded, so we're watching the race on like a 3-4 hour delay, whatever. And Seth and I are sitting there, and we're like, man, this has actually been a pretty great race. Like it's been real racy. Like it's been great. And our boy Chuck Forsum goes, yeah, because they haven't done something stupid yet. No sooner does he say that, like. Right,
I didn't even get yet out of my mouth. And as I'm saying yet, you guys are going, oh!
Yeah. I mean, by the time you said yet, Blaney was a foot and a half deep in the safer barrier. Like, it was.
So I called it 4 hours late. I'll take delayed blame, I guess. I don't know.
Delayed blame.
Whatever you want to call it. They knew. They're like, man, 4 hours from now, some guy in Raleigh, North Carolina is going to be like, man, they haven't eaten the wall yet, so we got to eat the wall just for him.
Yeah, it gave off big Atlanta vibes when Harvick took the lead. And I go, now this is where Ross wrecks him, right as Ross wrecked them. The comedic
Ty Gibbs
timing
had some comments
peak.
about the hit being hard too. I forgot about that.
They were not very godly, from what I.
they were not.
Yeah,
there was a lot of bleep,
a lot of fucks.
Yeah. He was pissed, which I mean, I don't blame him, but especially when your teammate that's, been in the playoffs for 5 months just irresponsibly turns you in turn 3 and on his first stage.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was all for a stage.
Exactly.
Like, are we?
And Christopher's like, oh, well, we've been pushing all night. Well, yeah, and now half the field's wrecked because you've been pushing all night.
Yeah.
We have half the race left.
Again, I'll say it. Bell is just too good of a driver to make these kind of stupid mistakes all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
It's just like he's been doing this his entire career. Like, dude, you were basically 30 years old. You should have this figured out by now.
I heard somebody say not long ago, like Christopher Bell spins out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Like,
does.
he spins out
A
like
lot.
Christopher Bell's an amazing race car driver. He is the only guy in NASCAR right now that I will say heads up can go beat Kyle Larson in half the cars that Kyle Larson runs.
Yeah.
But he makes, and Kyle makes stupid mistakes too all the time, but they both do, honestly. They both do a lot of stupid things, but Christopher does more of them.
Christopher, to me, like at his peak, he has the skill and just the ability to seize the moment as good as Kevin Harvick. But then he has some days where he's as historically ass as Chase Briscoe. I mean, and that's just something that he's gonna have to learn. And it's the same thing I say about Chase Briscoe and why he ticks me off so much is you get out and say Chase gets out and says he's got to learn, not you, Chase. And he never learns. Christopher at least doesn't get out and say I got to learn. He just kind of
he's just like,
makes excuses for it. Yeah, I mean,
he's like, I messed up, and this is why I messed up.
Yeah, but
the only thing about Chase Briscoe, the only thing about Christopher Bell and Chase Briscoe, the difference here is Christopher Bell is up front a lot, and then he makes a mistake probably 30-40% of the time. Chase Briscoe, at least this season, we watched him at Charlotte with our own eyes get passed by BJ McLeod on speed. That happened. And then when he is up front, he makes a mistake about 90% of the time.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And Chase I don't want to hate on Chase because Uncle being Mike Hillman Jr., he is a friend of the family. He was our driver for a year. He's a great guy. But like sometimes he gets up front and he just completely loses his brain. And like the Bristol thing with Reddick, like there was no intelligent thought behind that. I feel like he just kind of was like, well, I'm going to send it. Whatever happens, I hope I win. And then neither one of them won.
Yeah, and then you get in a Stewart Haas car in 2023, and that explains why you're 30th in points or whatever, wherever he is.
Yeah, what's crazy about that Charlotte race is that they got fined 100-something points for an illegal part in the car, and they still ran dead ass last behind BJ McLeod. So obviously, whatever part that was, it didn't work very well.
They should have teched BJ's car. And so yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, well, you made a good point about the safety thing, about not having to worry, but yes, at least they're heading in the right direction. Seth? Oh, okay. All right.
Speaking of Stewart Haas cars.
Yeah. Chase knew, like I said, we had a 4-hour delay. Chase knew something crazy happened. He told us something crazy happened.
Yeah. So
well, that coupled with your phone blowing up, we're like, something happened.
Yeah.
Buddy's phone blew up, and Buddy and Seth left Wake County before I did because I had to get post-race interviews. And I was standing on the front stretch with James Pike from Flow Racing, and we were talking. And then James and Matthew Dillner and Rob Blount, they all turned the race on. And I'm like, I don't want to hear it. And they're like, it's 6 to go. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go down here and sit on the other end of the pit wall. And all of a sudden I hear them all go, oh no, oh my gosh. So I walk down there and I'm like, is somebody dead? Like, at least tell me that. Is somebody okay? And they're like, oh yeah, he got out at least. And James was like, "Do you want to know who?" I was like, "Don't tell me what, just tell me who." And he said, "Preece." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So all I knew is that Preece is something bad, and Seth and Buddy
That
didn't
was
know anything.
correct. That was correct.
I knew what lap. I knew what lap, and
Yeah.
that was it. So I'm like, Seth and Buddy are getting mad at me because we come to 6 to go, and I'm sitting there going, "How in the world did that happen?" They're like, "Shut up! We don't know who it is.
Yeah.
Shut up!" Because I'm
Meanwhile,
trying to.
Seth and I are like losing our shit trying to guess who it is. Like
Hey,
it's
The
not
entire
it's
time.
it's not a funny thing, but it was like in the moment we're like, oh shit, Brad Keselowski's gonna revert back to Super Brad, and then like Joey's in the mix. We're like, oh, here's Joey. Like, yeah,
and
and
the crazy part was I asked them at the beginning of the race. I was like, "All right, write down who you think it is." And Buddy wrote down Chase Briscoe.
I did.
And damn if he wasn't pretty close.
Yeah.
It kind of sort of.
Yeah. It was shit,
He was
and that's the
involved.
thing. It was, yeah, it was just a bad shove from Eric Jones, and then, yeah, that was a bad wreck.
That was
That
bad.
was. I went back and watched Rusty Wallace '93 at Talladega. That is as close as I have been able to find to a wreck like that. Like it, the same. I mean, just the height and the pirouettes and just the honestly the driver exposure is just absurd.
If I actually found today, because I was showing my dad again, he watched it. But if you go on YouTube and find MRN's replay, like MRN's call of the wreck, first of all, Mike Bagley reached like a whole nother octave of like high pitch because he
I'm
was
shocked.
freaking out. And the angles they actually show in that video. So the angle they showed on NBC kind of sucked, honestly, because it was just like the way overhead, and
Yeah.
all you see is just like looked like a bomb went off.
Yeah.
Well, the angle they showed like live at full speed for this MRN replay is all of the angles NBC showed in slow-mo except in real time. And I was
God
watching it and I
bless.
was like, the one that looks like it's almost like from Lake Lloyd.
Yeah.
He's like coming at you from like this angle.
Yeah.
It was, you really see how fast he's just like spinning. And I was like,
Yeah.
holy crap. That I've never seen anything. Rusty Wallace, like you said, the Rusty Wallace track at Talladega is the only thing I can think of since like the beginning of time in NASCAR that something is like that, like a wreck like that. That was crazy.
That.
Yeah. It's concerning that these cars just have like a lift angle.
Yeah.
I think that comes back down to it being designed by Dallara. We've seen this with Indy cars. We've seen this with other cars. However they design their cars, they just kind of have a lift angle.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we can do about that. I think we might just be stuck with that.
Can you not? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And
I have
B,
an idea.
The most concerning thing that happened, obviously, is the exposure. The roof hatch I can almost give a pass a little bit because the roof hatch has to be able to come open somewhat easily.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point. The window net coming off, they have to figure out how that happened.
Yeah.
And that can never happen. That's
never.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. I don't know how many G's he had in that, but I'm sure it was hefty. And obviously it impacted the ground violently several times, but
still
that is the only thing keeping the driver limbs in the race car. We get it.
Yeah. And like I heard it on Action Detrimental, and it makes sense because the lower CG in the next gen car and how just confined you are in there even more than you were in the Gen 6 in the I guess the head and roof and window area, to where it's not that hard to like kind of unhinged the window net by accident. And
Window net or the roof hatch?
the window net is
Okay.
what Denny said. And so like that's something that definitely needs to be explored, because I mean you can't, the window net cannot be like another wreck similar to this. Richard Petty, Darlington, 1970. Like
It was 70.
Yeah, like the reason why we have a window net, so you can't control your arms at that angle.
I think something about the design that leads to these cars flipping over like that, I think it actually has to do with like the underbody being completely flat.
Yeah.
And then you turn the car around. Well, the diffuser has those grooves in it. And that essentially acts like a COT wing once it gets going through air. And then once that catches air going that direction, it's lifted.
Yeah.
And something I will say is I don't think that flip would have happened like that in a Gen 6.
No.
But had it happened in a Gen 6, that is the one example I will say it probably would have been worse, because the car probably would have given too much. But I don't think it would happen like that.
Yeah, like
when he lands directly on the roof, that could have been bad in a Gen 6, but I don't think the car would have gotten that height in a Gen 6. It might have lifted, like Joey lifted it at Talladega.
Let me
what was
what's
that,
2021.
21.
Let me bring this up. You very good point with like the wing did with the COT, and it makes sense that now that it's on the bottom of the car, because like you don't make the downforce through the from the top of the car. Now you make it through the bottom. So yeah, it is just basically upside down as far as like aerodynamics, and so that makes a whole lot of sense. I don't know if like you could put like flaps on either side of like flaps.
Do we
on
need
like
it at all?
Huh?
Do we need it at all for super speedways?
What?
Well, see, that's the problem. Then they got to spend the money to make a hole. They don't want to spend the money to do that, because if they're going to spend the money to
need what?
The grooves in the like the underbody, the diffuser, and all that.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. My idea was just like put like flaps that you have on the diffuser, get them where when the car goes sideways, they catch. They're like on the underbody of the car, maybe like behind like the jack bolt, and they catch and like set the car back down.
And the only thing with that is once you add that just adds another dumb aspect of teams are going to try to tweak with it to make it a performance advantage. And then one minor little thing is going to get changed. And then, now you're docked 120 something points because this was off by a millimeter.
The easiest way to fix that would be make it a part that screws in, and you get them at the racetrack. NASCAR hands you.
It could be, it could be like a restricted plate type deal, like they used to do. Yeah, I mean they could. I mean, because like I feel like it wouldn't be. It would essentially be how, like I just said, how the aerodynamics are flipped in this car compared to the old car. It would be like having it would be essentially a roof flap, but for the underbody, and it would make sense.
Because like if they're gonna do a set then redo the underbody, well they better be redoing an underbody for the short tracks and road courses first before they mess with the super speedway stuff. Because if you're gonna
saying, why do we even need the underbody? Like just take it off.
Well, I mean in general, if you're gonna change something like that, you better do it to the tracks that suck first, because if you're redesigning the car for specific racetracks, you better start with short tracks.
The only reason I agree with what you're saying in principle, but the only thing with this is it's a massive safety hazard.
Yeah.
The short track, like Martinsville being a terrible race, is not a safety hazard.
That's a fair point. I don't know.
Well, okay, on my health, it's a safety hazard, but
it's not a safety hazard to the drivers, just the fans.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know that the argument that this was like a new thing. I mean, Kyle Larson at Talladega 2019. It took a lot longer for him to just kind of blow over like that, but he got not quite this height, but that was on asphalt. Like he didn't have the effect of digging into the grass and it basically acting as a spring loaded.
But that just brings me back to my point of it. The way he hit the wall. He was actually like sideways in the air when he hit the wall.
Yeah.
And nobody ever really worried if Kyle was going to be okay. Like for a second, it was like, oh man. But then it was like, wait, he'll be all right. And then he gets out of the car and he's fine. Everybody held their breath on Saturday night when they saw that. Even us 4 hours later. Like,
yeah.
When we knew he was okay, it was still like, oh my God, like, is he okay?
Yeah.
And that's just the differences. If that had happened in the old car, it would have been, oh man, he flipped a lot, but he'll be all right. Now you worry, like, does he have a concussion? Does something broke?
Yeah.
Because you get into the whole, that wreck was way more violent than Kurt's, and Kurt's never going to drive a race car again.
Yeah.
I think that comes down to perspective, though. Like, it sounds like we should have been more concerned about this beforehand.
I think we got a wake up call with Ryan Newman. I think.
Yeah.
I think some people did because, like, I've definitely been more conscious of that since the Newman wreck. Because
I mean, me too. Yeah.
And then the Joey thing, like how vocal he was about the roof caving at Talladega, and it kind of brought a little bit of humanity back to the superhumans that these guys are, or that we treat them as they are. Like,
and that one was scary just because he was running like second or third when he got turned, and he flipped in front of the field.
Yeah.
And that for a second, until everybody missed him, it was like, oh my God, somebody's going to hit him like they hit Ryan Newman at Daytona.
Yeah.
And then everybody missed him. And then the roof caved in, but that could have been so much worse than what it was.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Preece deal, I mean, yeah, I mean, they gotta have a fix for that by Daytona. Like, or they have to, I mean, obviously they'll take the car back and see how it performed as far as safety, but they gotta fix the winter net, and they gotta at least explore some options for the underbody of the car, for that.
He's listed on the entry list for this week at Darlington, and I will be shocked if he actually races.
Yeah.
I don't think as many times as he spun in the air and as fast as he spun in the air.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible that he doesn't have some sort of concussion.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like that. I mean, I feel like that's any car. That's going to be the case. Like,
yeah, because example, Simon Pagenaud, when his wreck at practice in Mid-Ohio, wreck in practice at Mid-Ohio, they announced today he's out for the year. Like, he's not running the last 2 races, and it was because of the violent spinning motion.
I mean, people get blind from that shit.
Exactly.
I mean, there's literally no way to keep your brain from rocking when you do that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I
wonder if he was wearing a mouth guard.
Preece?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was about to say, do you know?
Either way,
I don't know.
Either way, I don't.
I just didn't know if they could read that data.
What worries me about him right now, all they've said is that he's on the entry list and that he got released from the hospital. They haven't said anything else. And that's what bothers me, is there hasn't been anybody come out and be like, this is what happened, this is what he's dealing with, but he's going to be okay. They haven't said anything other than the fact that he got released from the hospital. And that kind of bothers me a little bit, because it's like, okay, if they're not saying anything, then something's wrong.
I kind of take that as like, you don't want to show vulnerability, really.
I mean, I guess. I see both sides
Preece
of it.
definitely seems like the type of guy that New England, mentality of like, I got to be a tough guy here, so I could see him.
I see both sides of it. It just worries me, because you don't want to see anybody have
and
to
maybe
go.
they could be just waiting and seeing and be like, we're not gonna put anything out.
I mean,
we know for sure.
We won't know until NASCAR tests him on Friday, Thursday, whatever day, and they'll make the call from there.
Yeah.
If he can't race, who drives that car?
Cole Custer.
Herbs.
Oh, two different answers there.
Why wouldn't it be Cole Custer, buddy?
because
Cole in a Rick Ware car right now?
I'm sure they can get him out of the Rick Ware car to go.
I'll answer that question for you.
Oh, Herbst will probably be the guy who replaces him in the Rick Ware car. So fuck you.
I would say they put Riley in the car just because sponsor money, and you got to see what he can do in a Cup car because they're going to need somebody with sponsor money next year. Whether or not he deserves to be in a Cup car, they need money.
Talk about another team that's looking for a driver here in a second. But what's our opinion on grass?
I mean, it's comfortable to walk on.
Fuck you. I was waiting for one of you dumbasses to...
At a super speedway, we should have AstroTurf or paved.
I was going to say AstroTurf, if anything. If you have to change it, AstroTurf, just because I'm one of those people that like the aesthetic of looking at the grass on the back straightaway at Daytona is so beautiful to me, and I do not want to look at a solid gray Daytona. It would bother me. It would that's what bothers me about Watkins Glen now is that there's no grass left. I don't want them to get rid of the grass.
Definitely add some grass back at Watkins Glen.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, technically, Chris Buescher flipped at Charlotte with AstroTurf, if you want to use that argument, but he had a manhole.
He
had a manhole, and the tire was under the car. Like it was that was.
I just don't want to get rid of grass. I know why they want to get rid of grass, but I don't want to.
Here's the grass thing. It wasn't so much. It was the digging in that obviously sent him flying, but it wasn't. He was gonna flip either way.
Yeah,
like
once he gets over that far, I don't care what surface he hits.
Yeah.
He can hit a chocolate cake. He's still gonna flip.
Yeah. Like if anything, the grass sent him through the air, but it's kind of a catch-22. Do you want him, tumbling on pavement, or do you want him tumbling on grass? Like
probably scrubbed off some speed too.
Yeah,
because if you put even if you put AstroTurf down, that's not going to be any softer than pavement is.
It's not like a Ryan Newman Daytona 03 flip. Yeah, God.
No, he was going over.
Dig in, yeah, like
he was going over either. He was already over when he dug in. He didn't flip because of the grass. He flipped and then dug into the grass.
I get
Neither did
I get
Preece.
the idea. Huh?
Preece didn't flip because of the grass, so it's the same thing.
I think that's what Chase was saying.
Yeah. I was agreeing.
Oh,
okay. I was a little confused.
It didn't sound like it. But
I was thinking my own thoughts.
I only mentioned that because I saw a lot of people trying to say that, and it's like it was clearly the angle he was coming up anyway.
I get the argument of like getting rid of the grass. I don't think this is the right application of that argument, though.
No, I don't either.
Yeah,
I don't want him to get rid of grass. I'll argue that to the day I die. I didn't want him to get rid of the little tiny bit of grass out of Martinsville either. So,
yeah, that
I didn't
make sense.
Is what it is.
Bring back the azaleas at Martinsville. Oh, God.
One of these days, there won't be any grass left of these racetracks, and we'll all sit here and be like, "Back in my day, there used to be grass in the infield."
Yeah.
If I could put grass anywhere, though, I'd put it at Watkins Glen. But anyway,
yeah,
I'd put it right up on the curb too.
Go to Sonoma when there's grass.
They're going.
I hear they are.
Good.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right before the doubleheader at Richmond. Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
Huh?
Said it's gonna be great.
Yeah. Let's see. So Brad Keselowski under this red flag. I didn't think about this in the moment. I
just laughed in the moment.
No. I didn't think about this in the moment, and then we ended up fucking around for 4 hours, and I forgot about it. I woke up. I guess it was today when I finally started thinking about it. That was a crock of shit. Why was he not sent to the tail of into the longest line or parked for that?
I didn't even know it happened.
Yeah,
I guess I missed that part. I guess I was like writing for front stretch when that happened. I don't know.
No, I mean, I don't even think they showed it on TV.
No,
we might have skipped it.
I bet we
might have skipped it.
Yeah. All I know is what's crazy is so when they were about to wreck, or no, they were coming to the white, I think. I said, what did I say? I thought I said Kevin was going to turn Brad or something. The reason I said that is because during the car store race at Wake County, I accidentally opened up Instagram and I only for a split second, saw the door of the 6 car.
Dude, I did the same
And I was
thing.
like, oh crap, either Brad won or wrecked. And I closed it. Well, came back to me like 2 to go. And I was like, how does Brad end up sideways? And then it never happened. So I forgot about it. And then the next day, it's like all over Twitter. Everybody's like, oh, what was Brad doing driving in circles? And then the audio comes out today. Like Martin Truex was like, what the hell is Brad doing? Bowman said he wished he had his cell phone so he could put it on Instagram.
Oh my God.
They were all talking. Ross was like, oh, that's what it looks like when my dog has the zoomies.
Dude, yeah, it looked like a NASCAR 09 lobby. Like that's what it looked like. It's like
That's what another thing Bowman said. Bowman said Brad's out here making laps on the old short track on the back straightaway.
yep. Yeah, but no, I mean he was doing it to put out a fire that had started in the car. Okay, that's fair. Absolutely. You got to do that.
Here's the question.
But that's working on your race car under red. One, you're not supposed to move under red. Landon Castle got parked for that a couple years ago. And two, I don't know how that's not working on your race car under red.
I mean, yeah, I guess it is. Here's a side question. Why did a fire start in his car under a red flag?
Because race cars are really hot, and when they stop, sometimes things
cars are really hot.
It was a piece of rubber.
Why did it catch on fire?
It was a piece of rubber that ended up somewhere.
Was it the same thing that caught Harvick on fire?
I don't know if it was the rocker panel or not.
They said it was.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah.
No, so they still haven't fixed that issue?
It's better than it was.
It definitely seems like it's better.
Better, but
yeah.
Either way,
here's my thing with it is I think by the letter of the law, he should have got parked. But I think if the reason your car is on fire is because you had to stop, I think you should be able to put it out. But ultimately, he should have gotten maybe not.
You
parked,
should absolutely be able to put it out, but like,
I mean, devil's advocate to that. What do you want him to do? Sit there and burn?
No, I don't. Because then it's not. I think absolutely.
Because then it's not his fault. Like if he sits there and the car burns up and he's done for the day, well, that's not his fault either. So it's what do you want him to do? It should be a penalty, but what do you want him to do?
Working on your car to me is making it better. That's not making it better.
I mean, you're making it not on fire. I mean, fire is better than being on fire.
Was Sterling Marlin actually making his car better, or was he making it not broke?
He was definitely making. Well, if it's not broke, then it's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it's not on fire, it's better.
Yeah, but your car here's my thing though. It's like because we see brakes and shit catch on fire when the cars are stopped all the time. Like I don't. If it's stopped, and I'm not saying NASCAR could really control whether they stop the race at that point or not, but you've stopped the race. They're not. I don't know. In a normal situation, they would have not stopped the car, and that thing would not have been a problem. So I don't think you should be penalized for something that wouldn't have been an issue during the race while we were actually racing.
I mean, like
in my
what else
eyes,
does he
it's
do?
The same thing as running over. No, here's my thing. I'm not saying he shouldn't have done it. I'm just saying he shouldn't have been allowed to be back in his position for it. Like, I mean, it's the same thing.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm saying you should.
Well, Chase, it's the same thing as like running over a piece of debris under caution. Yeah, it's not your fault. Like they didn't clean up the track, but you don't get to change your tire and retain your position.
But that's actually during the race, though.
I'll argue that point, buddy, because NASCAR doesn't make you run over debris. NASCAR's making you stop under a red. Like you don't have a choice.
I guess. Yeah. I guess,
so what else? But what else is he supposed to do? So what if that happens again? What's the procedure there? Do you want him to go on the radio and be like, "Hey, NASCAR, come put out my fire"? Like, how else do you handle that? Because then people are gonna be, "Whoa, NASCAR's working on the 6 car for him." Like, there's no win in that. There's no way to win in that situation.
I mean, dude. I mean, it's like. You have a problem on your car, like you got to fucking whether it's caused
by the fact that the race stopped.
okay, doesn't like, I mean, we have red flag happen. Like
Okay.
it's part of it. Like it's part of the race. Like
Well,
I don't
It's literally not, though.
it is also a NASCAR issue because it's not like something the team put on the car that caught on fire. It's NASCAR's part that caught on fire. So that's another aspect to it. It's not like the old days where
well
like,
then
oh,
let Kevin Harvick bring out his backup car at Darlington then.
well,
If
hey,
That's a
the
little
race.
extreme.
I mean-
didn't. But you know what? I had a problem with the fact that Kevin Harvick DNF'd out of a playoff race because of NASCAR's shitty parts. Like,
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I don't understand it. I don't understand one, how you move. Like, I don't understand that, and two, how you get your spot back. Like,
there's an argument to go both ways, and nobody's ever going to be happy if that ever happens again. Yeah. The situation is just, it's going to be the same thing. Somebody's going to be pissed off because somebody's going to feel like it's unfair.
Look, ultimately, your argument is correct by the letter of the law. I just think that it shouldn't be an issue.
It's a matter of whether you want to follow law, or like logic.
Well, that's my problem with NASCAR. It's you never know what the fucking law is. We know what the law is, but we don't actually know what the law is.
You're right. Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. I don't think they do sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't think they care.
Maybe that's it. I don't know.
But yeah, so I appreciate that because Kevin Harvick had no chance of winning because they did that, and obviously the RFK cars were absurdly strong at Chase Elliott. For whatever reason, his car could not push for the last.
Well, not just Chase Elliott, the entire squad.
Isn't it wild? Yeah, isn't it wild how that works?
Notice how much faster the Hendrick squad was when Kyle Larson was up there, and then when he got put to the back because he was 2 laps down.
Did y'all see the burnout he did?
Kyle?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Only time he's going to be doing a burnout at Daytona, I'll tell you that.
When he was beached.
Yeah. Apparently, did you guys hear what he said?
No.
He went Joey Logano Pocono mode.
Nice.
Not quite, but he was a lot of bleeps, a lot of fucks, a lot of what the fuck is that tow truck doing? Come push me. Yeah.
I got to hear that.
I haven't heard it either, but that's what I've been told. So
that's awesome.
Chris Buescher wins the race.
Dude's
who could have called that except for me?
Yeah. I'll say that I picked Brad. I didn't pick Brad on the show, but I did pick Brad. They'll attest for me on that.
You're kind of right.
And
then Buddy said, "See, look, Brad's not going to victory lane." I was like, "He definitely is going to victory lane."
I did, yeah. Dude, Seth and I have been talking up Chris Buescher for a while now. I don't know that I saw winning 3 out of the last 5 races.
I'll tell you what, the town of Prosper, Texas is about to have some new business if he keeps winning races.
Dude, he's going to cause a whole baby boomer.
Rick Allen's going to have
Texas.
I'll tell you what, next time Chris Buescher wins a race, Rick Allen better check his damn facts on what the population of that town is.
Yeah.
Because it's growing. It's growing down there in Prosper.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if I'm in Prosper, Texas and Chris Buescher wins, there ain't nothing else to do but go down to the local bar, get hammered, and then go fuck my wife.
Hey, with the other 30,000 of them.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about to double.
Why? I can't get over why Rick Allen said that.
I don't know. I was so glad I was watching the race live in person rather than hearing that.
What's hilarious is, for me, I was at the Cars Tour race at Hickory, and my brother and I, it's loud. Obviously, they're racing, and we're watching it on my phone. So
no way. Fucking A, really?
Yeah, believe it or not, they were driving motor vehicles there.
It's fucking insane, bro.
And
I got to experience this.
So we're watching the Cars Tour race, and we're looking down at my phone, and we see him come off turn 4 and win. We can't hear it. So, 2 hours later, when we leave Hickory, I get on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and I start seeing all these. Why the hell did Rick Allen feel the need to mention the population of Prosper, Texas? And I'm like, what did I miss? Dude. And then I'm watching the highlights of the race, and then as he, I can't.
Dude, can we talk
was
about
the
the fact
funniest
that we watched like the last lap of the 2015 Coke 0400? By the way, guys, David Reagan wrecked the shit out of that car after the.
Yeah, Buddy said we fucked off for a while after the race. No,
Yeah, we
This
were
is
doing
what
it.
fucking off was.
We
We're
were
doing
doing
important work.
investigative. We were Chase. We were doing some real investigative journalism.
This all started because we got on the topic of how shit Kyle Larson is at restrictor plates and how the torch was passed on from Carl Edwards to Kyle Larson because they are both shit at restrictor plates.
Yeah.
And it happened to be that I found the 2015 Daytona wreck when Kyle Larson just ran out of talent and spun out in turn one. And Carl Edwards got collected in it and went up the track. And Brian Scott ended up halfway up the 19's ass. And so we just started watching highlights from that race. And then we see the Austin Dillon wreck. And we're like, wait a minute. Who is that? Well, actually, no, we were on board with Joey. I think it was Joey.
It was we're on board with Kevin. Gordon gets Gordon spins and McMurray just
cleans him out.
Bam.
And then so we're watching the overhead. We're like, wait, who is that hits the inside wall? And it took us like 5 videos, 45 minutes, and 27 camera angles. And we
finally found it.
Some dude, we were sure it was Boyer, and then we found Boyer. And I was like, but I see the 15 font. Well, then we find some like from the stands camera. And it's perfect angle where you can see David Reagan go down. And I paused it right on David Reagan. And I said, got his ass. And I stood up and walked out.
Dude, it was like, we literally threw like,
we got him.
Trevor Bain, he's over there. He's wrecked. That exited out that blue and white car. All right, Clint Boyer, it's not him. That exits out the MWR 5. Like, we were fully invested in this. Like, and that's why we're all single. Well, I guess you're not, Jay.
I'm not.
Well, yeah.
Somehow.
Somehow, some way. But yeah, David Reagan wrecked the shit out of that car.
Yeah, he did. I will now, you know what, because of you two, I will forever remember that wreck for David Reagan and not Austin Dillon, which is really bad. But yeah. Honestly, that whole race.
Every time we see it.
Who won that race again? Who won that race? I don't know. Who hit the catch fence?
Fucking David Reagan.
Dude, all I know is that
wait, not the catch fence.
Nope, he
did not. No.
I mean, I couldn't tell you who won. I couldn't tell you who finished second. I couldn't tell you who flipped, but I could tell you who hit the fucking inside wall. It was David Reagan. Yep. So there you go.
Damn right. Put that in your Rolodex.
Chase, do you know what a Rolodex is?
Hell no. Y'all are
it's a big word I use a lot. And by a big word I use a lot, it's the big word.
The only big word.
The only one, yeah.
When Buddy learns a 3-syllable word, it's cause for celebration around here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But I led into
the syllables, 3 words. Or three wait. What's that word called? It's like
it's not, is it?
What? What are you trying to say?
God dang it. What am I trying to say?
That's a great question.
You're a journalist.
Are you trying to say the syllable is a 3-syllable word?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Like, journalist. This is peak journalism in 2023.
Bullshit. Is what anyway, so how I got on the 2015
Small Blade after dark, okay? I don't have to
like I said, it's all after dark.
All Big Motor Small Blade is after dark.
Yeah. So how we got on the 15 Daytona race is you talked about Rick Allen's commentary at Richmond, how much better it was back in the day.
Yeah.
He replaced problems with implications. He was like, I'm moving up to the Cup Series. That's a Cup word right there. Implications.
Problems. Rick Allen was like, I mean, obviously I'm younger than Seth and Buddy. Rick Allen was like my childhood growing up watching the trucks. Like, oh, Rick Allen's calling the truck race. It's going to be a good race. Oh, problems. There's somebody in the wall.
Yeah.
And now he turns left.
Yeah.
No shit, really?
Yeah. Ryan Preece turned left. Did he say it?
Did he really?
He said it. I think he said Ryan Preece goes left or something.
He was like, but that was Jeff Burton. Because when they were first watching the side angle, So it's like the way
It's
panned
in the
out
Burton
angle.
family. They just like turning left.
It was like the way panned out angle, and all you see is Preece just like come across the track and hit Chase. And Jeff Burton, for some reason, thought that Ryan Preece like meant to do that, and he was like, "Oh, he just turned left."
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
he was eventually gonna do that.
I think it was Junior that was like, or unless he got help from somebody from behind. I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
I promise you, Jeff, he didn't just like, and I'll watch my words because he does co-own the series that I cover, but
That's So is Dale Jr. though. So if you talk good enough about Dale Jr.,
I promise you, Jeff, Ryan Preece did not mean to turn left.
I don't know.
Not that time.
I'm going to use my deductive reasoning I learned from investigating David Reagan's wreck at Daytona to tell you, no, I don't think he meant to.
David Reagan turned all the way left.
He went lefter than anyone's left in their life.
Yeah.
Anyway, playoffs. Bubba Wallace made it, and everybody else did it.
Playoffs. Yeah, pretty much. Hey, I called that on the Front Stretch Bringing the Heat podcast this week.
That's cool. That's not our podcast.
I know. I'm just saying.
It's not as cool. I've never heard it, but it's not as cool.
It's Well, I did call it, is all I'm saying.
So obviously elephant in the room. Chase Elliott missed the playoffs. Because why?
He looked relieved.
He threw a temper tantrum, and that's why he missed the playoffs. And I get to say it over and over again for the next 10 weeks.
If we're being honest, yeah, because 2 Hendrick cars missed the playoffs, and 2 Hendrick drivers had injuries.
Yeah.
One of them missed the playoffs because of those injuries.
Yeah.
The other one still could have pointed his way in and missed the playoffs because he right hooked Denny Hamlin right in front of my face at Charlotte. Literally, Denny Hamlin hit
directly in front of us.
Yeah, it was loud. So that happened, and he cost himself probably a top 10 day there in return, then cost himself, we'll just say, another top 10 day at Gateway for no points. And then Allen ran him out of gas at Watkins Glen, and that's strike 3. You're out. Like,
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna say it. Alex Bowman should have made the playoffs.
Yeah.
They literally
fell off a damn cliff.
Yeah, they were literally in a few weeks after he came back. They're getting way too much like leeway here, I think.
You know what? I
think
had a thought about that earlier this week when I think both of them, whatever, we expected them to miss the playoffs. Alex had a lot more to gain from winning Saturday night, because if Chase misses the playoffs, it's, Chase missed the playoffs and he was hurt, and it's Chase Elliott. It's fine. He'll be back next year. I think we all agree, if there is somebody that's out at Hendrick in the next coming years, it's Alex Bowman. He's the black sheep there. And if he can hang it over their head, I've made the playoffs at every year in this car. He can't do that now. And if he would have won Saturday night, that would have helped him a ton to say, hey, I went out after I got hurt, and no matter how I did it, I still raced my way in. And I think it shouldn't, but the fact that they didn't make it this year after the penalties and whatnot, it might come back to bite him later on. And I hope it doesn't, but it could.
I think with Alex is I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but he's admitted that he's still not 100%.
No, you're not.
And also back injury. That team, they haven't been able to get in a rhythm really since last year. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I mean, he missed the end of last year. Then they went through a crew chief change and haven't been able to really build any chemistry until, Alex came back, and even then he wasn't fully, back. Ironically back. But yeah, I mean, he's contracted until 26, or at least the option is there. Like, they gotta they have to have a 2021 like year next year.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean,
What's
yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean that's just how it's got to be. I mean, you're in a Hendrick car. Granted, both the 9 and the 48 kind of were in the same boat. Neither one of them ran fantastic. The 9 definitely ran a little bit better. But there's got to be some sort of change in that 48 team because they at their height they can be as good as any Hendrick car. But when they're bad, they're like back there with the scrubs. So
it sucks because the only race that I will say since he came back that he was like the way he was before he got hurt was Michigan.
Yeah,
they were great at Michigan.
yeah.
It was like
Something to be
crap.
said. They've had a lot of bad luck.
They have, and they've gotten
Like-
a lot of things that weren't their fault, but they've also gotten a lot of things that weren't their fault because they put themselves back there.
Exactly.
And at Michigan,
they got to qualify better.
Michigan, they were fast and they were back there on pit strategy. Well, I don't know. That's tough to say because it's technically their fault that they're back there, whether or not they were fast or not. They put themselves back there and then they got caught up in somebody else's mess and they tore up a really good race car.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, aside from Alex, obviously Chase missed. I think this is good for the sport. It might not be good for the sport in a media side of things and rating side of things, but I mean, yeah, he missed races and he did what he did to, cause himself to miss, but it adds some legitimacy just a little bit to the playoffs that like a top tier driver like this, couldn't make it. And a lot of it was their own doing and their own team's lack of ability in the last, however many weeks he's been back. And it reminds me of Jeff Gordon and Dale Jr. in 2005 when they missed the chase. That this is hard. The Cup Series is fucking hard. And there's a lot of really good cars out there. Even a juggernaut like Hendrick Motorsports and a driver like Chase Elliott, you gotta put all the pieces together. You can't mail it in.
I mean, this honestly happened last year, though. The guy that just won the regular season championship this year didn't make the playoffs last year, and he very well could have won 3 races in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it adds. I don't really know how I feel about it, honestly. I don't really care who's in the playoffs, honestly.
I think the thing is,
if I'm being totally honest, I really don't care.
Yeah.
Whoever's there is there. Like Ricky Stenhouse won the Daytona 500, and it was just like, oh well, Ricky Stenhouse is in the playoffs now.
Yeah, at least he made it legitimately,
and he,
got real close.
And I'm honestly impressed with them. They actually were pretty solid this year, and there was a couple races that they had some bad luck with tires and stuff to where they probably could have pointed their way in if they didn't have stuff go wrong like that.
Yeah.
I think the one thing is if you're Hendrick Motorsports, you look at it as a whole, the 9 teams in. So I don't think they have as much. They need to find some speed, some consistency, but they don't have as much, I guess, soul searching to do. Like, they missed the playoffs on the driver's side because Chase threw a temper tantrum. But owner-wise, they're fine. So, and also what that means, though, is he didn't miss the playoffs because he threw a temper tantrum. He missed it because he got hurt. But anyway, the 48 team was just off. Like, they just weren't that good most of the season. I understand what you're talking about with getting consistency in this, that, and the other. But how long has Alex been back for since the 600? There's been basically no improvement other than Michigan.
I feel like they've gotten better in the past 4 or 5 weeks. They've at least been able to put together more races, it seems like. And also it seems like they've come to the track with more speed because it just seemed like they were out to lunch for the first like 8 weeks he was back. But he had the Michigan, he had Indianapolis, and there was another one or two races where he he actually showed up for once. And I feel like there has been slight improvement there. And I feel like they just need to be able to latch onto that.
Admittedly, I think it's getting masked a little bit too because the 24 team has been largely out to lunch for a lot of the ever since I guess early spring. Really, they've been nowhere, and then they've won. But in the middle of that, they've won 2 races, which great for playoff points and all this. But ultimately, it shows that they're still kind of doing the same thing.
I think honestly, the 5 wasn't much better throughout the summer either.
No, they weren't.
Not like he wasn't. Not like he was.
Definitely, I think the 5's the best Hendrick car altogether.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
and what's crazy to me is it almost makes me wonder because the 5 and the 24 were their 2 best cars to start the year, hands down.
Yeah,
and it almost makes me wonder if once Chase and Alex got hurt, they put all their eggs in those 2 baskets to try to get those cars in, and they just didn't have it.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if they tried and they put everything into those 2 cars, which made the whole organization off, and whatever reason, whether it be Alex back still being messed up and Chase doing stupid things and whatnot, and just not being in a rhythm after missing a bunch of time, neither one of them could get it done. And it almost makes me wonder, okay, does it stay the same as they go into the playoffs, or they're going to flip a switch and the 5 and the 24 be lights out again?
Yeah.
And we'll find out.
I think the likelihood is high that the 5 and 24 are battling for the win at Darlington.
We'll find out because they were 2 of the 4 fastest cars there in May. So,
obviously other people miss the playoffs, but they don't drive for Hendrick Motorsports, so they don't get the same attention. Yeah, so,
the 3 Haas cars finished 25th or worse in points. So if you want to talk about that, there you go.
Yeah,
not much to say there.
Stewart Haas cars finished 21st or worse. The Harvick Haas cars is pretty damn good. Playoff grid. We all compiled together our own playoff grid. So let's go ahead and whip those bad boys out. Everybody ready?
Are we showing them, or are we just saying who we have out each round?
No, let's go. All right, here we go. Who gets eliminated in the round of 16? Seth, go.
All right. Ryan Blaney, Ricky Stenhouse, Kevin Harvick, and Bubba Wallace.
Okay. Chase?
Ricky Stenhouse, Michael McDowell, Joey Logano, and Ross Chastain.
I have Ricky Stenhouse, Michael McDowell, Ryan Blaney, and Ross Chastain.
Okay, so that's interesting. I really, really thought about putting Ross Chastain out. The hang up I'm having is he's been so good at Darlington.
He hasn't, though.
He has been.
He's good in the spring. He was dog shit in the Southern 500.
He literally,
even before the mechanical problem.
Well, okay, it was Ganassi, but he literally could have won the Southern 500 2 years ago.
I don't know.
The reason I have Ross out is not because of Darlington. I wouldn't be surprised if he runs great at Darlington.
He's going to run great. I don't think he's going to win. And I think he's going to have to.
Even when they were fast in the spring, because that's for starters, ever since he won Nashville, Ross has been out to lunch.
Even before that.
Yeah, they've been bad.
Since Darlington, they have been bad.
I wonder what Rick Hendrick did to that man, but he's been bad.
Much better, so I think it's organizational.
He's been bad. And even when they were good in the spring, he was bad at Kansas. That was the one race in the spring that he was just bad. That's why he was back there racing with Noah Gragson.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be much better because I don't know if you've noticed or not, but when we go to Kansas, if you don't drive for Joe Gibbs Racing or Hendrick Motorsports, you might as well go home.
Yeah.
And
2311.
Okay, if you don't drive a Toyota or a Hendrick car, you might as well go home. And Bristol last year, the Trackhouse cars were terrible. Yeah. So you're telling me two out of 3 races he's going to suck at least on paper. and he doesn't really have any of a points buffer.
He's
if
not.
if he doesn't go win Darlington, I don't see him making it, and that's why I got him out because I don't think he's winning Darlington.
I don't think he's winning Darlington either. Ryan Blaney, I mean, I feel like it's self-explanatory. He's been terrible. He won the Coca-Cola 600. Hang your hat on that and wear your ring, but that's about it, Chief. Like,
I kept Blaney because
you're wild for knocking Logano out.
I chose.
You're insane.
I chose. I told myself I had to choose a Penske car, and
you chose the wrong one.
Here's why I think I didn't. Well, because yes, Ryan Blaney sucks at Darlington. We know that.
Yeah.
Well, ever since Joey Logano won the spring race last year, Penske sucks at Darlington. They were Joey Logano was getting lapped in the spring.
Yeah.
If they're not much better, they're both going to suck at Darlington, and then they're going to go to Kansas, and the Fords have sucked at Kansas, and I don't see either one of them doing anything at Kansas.
The thing is, Joey Logano, whether he's suck or not, it's the Kevin Harvick effect. He always ends up in the top 10.
I think
Blaney doesn't.
Blaney's good at Bristol, and Blaney has been having terrible luck at Bristol over the past, his whole career. He has had shit luck at Bristol. I think he can put it together at Bristol and run top 5. And I don't think Joey's going to run top 5 at Bristol. And that's why I chose Blaney and not Joey, because I think it's going to come down to something stupid happening. And
okay, I'm going to ask this. I'm going to ask this question. It's going to sound like I'm being a dick, but I'm being serious. What has Ryan Blaney ever done to make you think that he's going to show up in a clutch situation?
Nothing. Nothing. But hear me out. Every year we go into this and there's always one guy that's like, you get done with Bristol or wherever the round of 16 race was that year. And you're like, man, I had that guy going to the round of 8 or the championship 4. I can't believe he missed it. And something tells me with as off as Penske has been, that guy's going to be Joey Logano this year.
My guy is Ross Chastain. I feel like
I don't think that's a surprise at this point.
Well, I think it's a surprise to a lot of people.
I think the problem with Logano is it's not. I don't think it's like a big shock move to have him out in the round of 16 because they've been nowhere all season except for Atlanta. So,
but they're nowhere every year until the playoffs.
Exactly. Start. That's my point. That's what they do. They bank a win early and then dick around for 3 months.
I don't know. I just think both of them are going to be in a hole because they're both going to suck at Darlington.
Yeah.
They're sitting. I have it written down. They're 11th and 12th. So they don't have much to give up. And now I'll say this, the guys behind them aren't very good at Darlington either, minus Kevin Harvick. But they give up anything at Darlington and they're going to be scrambling at Kansas, and they're not going to be scrambling very much at Kansas because they're not going to be good there. The Fords have been terrible there. And one of them's getting knocked out at Bristol. And just something tells me, it was the same way last year when Larson got knocked out at the Roval. It was like, holy crap, the champ just got knocked out in the round of 12. Something tells me something stupid is happening to Joey Logano, and he's out. I think my other two are self-explanatory. Stenhouse, no hate to Ricky Stenhouse. They've had a great year. I just don't see him beating 4 other guys.
When you have the 16 best drivers in the Cup Series in the playoffs, I'm sorry, they're going to step it up more than you are. That's why Michael McDowell's getting eliminated too.
Yeah, I mean, no hate to either of them. They've had great years, but I just don't see them beating four other guys on this list.
I think McDowell will be just they will execute just well enough to get
if
by.
McDowell makes it, it'll be because
he didn't wreck.
Yeah,
and someone else did.
Because McDowell's good at Bristol too. Yeah. He can be. The Fords have actually been good at Bristol.
Yeah,
that's what they had. That's what all those Fords have going for them is Bristol.
Yeah,
and one of them's
that's a lot. That's why I don't have Harvick going out, because I mean Harvick, he finished great. Granted, it was circumstances. He finished second at Darlington in the spring. I don't remember where he ran at Kansas in the spring, but he ran so good at Bristol.
He ran top 10 all day.
Yeah, and he was so good at Bristol, and I feel like he's just gonna grind it out, and he's gonna finish an average finish of probably 9th in every race, and I think that's going to be good enough for him to get through.
The problem
Yeah.
I have with Harvick is that while yes, they were really fast at Bristol last year, at that point in the season, they had a lot more speed. A lot more speed.
Kevin obviously doesn't seem confident.
Yeah, Kevin obviously is a grinder. He will get it close. Like he will be close to it as long as they don't have mechanical issues or whatever. But I think it'll take a lot. It's going to take a lot for them to get in.
I almost knocked out Bubba, but the reason I didn't is Kansas. I think they're going to be so fast at Kansas. I can't.
Yeah.
He's going to get top 5 stage points in both stages. He's going to finish top 10 as long as nothing goes wrong. And
right.
that'll be enough.
Round of 12. All right. Who you got, Seth?
All right. I got Ross, Tyler Reddick, Logano, and McDowell. I feel like that's pretty fair.
I got okay, you go.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I got Bubba, Harvick, Reddick, and Kyle Busch.
Fuck you for putting Harvick out in the round of 12. I got Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Bubba Wallace, and Kevin Harvick.
I was like, I didn't even get a fuck you for having him out in the round of 16.
So who'd you have against that?
I had Chastain, Reddick, Logano, McDowell.
Yeah.
So
I teetered with Reddick a lot.
I teetered with Reddick out in the round of 16 because
I did too.
Obviously, he's
Reddick,
on a different
I feel
team
like
now.
Could go either way.
Yeah, but they've just been so inconsistent this season.
Yeah.
What round of 12 is what? Texas, Dega, Roval?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason I knocked Reddick out is I don't know. They just, like you said, they've just been some weeks they're running up front, contending for a win, and then some weeks they're nowhere.
Yeah.
And Texas is weird. Texas isn't a place that's like, I don't know who's going to be fast at Texas because we haven't had a normal Gen 7 race at Texas yet.
Yeah.
We have no clue who was like, the All-Star race was weird because people started blowing tires and then everybody backed off a little bit. And then,
well, we know who was fast in those races. It was all the guys who were blowing tires.
Yeah. And then last year was like the closest thing we've ever seen to 08 Indy. If you led the race for 30 laps, you were wrecked. So, I mean, and Reddick won that race last year, but anything last year.
Really, see, I'm kind of comparing it to Kansas in a way. Like, I feel like that's really I don't know. That's the best I could do, I guess, for that.
Kansas is so different, though.
I just think I think Reddick will put an okay Texas if that team can keep it together, which I shouldn't have any confidence that's going to happen.
Big if.
But if they can somehow do it, I think the Roval. I think they'll be good at the Roval. And yeah, that's why I have them making it through.
Really, Reddick.
I also have it. I don't see Harvick. I think round of 12 is about as fast as they can be. Joey, just kind of the same deal. I think Kyle Busch, they've been wildly inconsistent. I think he's going to wreck the dog fuck out of that car at Talladega in a wreck. And I don't care that he won there in the spring. He hasn't done great at the Roval ever.
Yeah, I see him being like lost at the Roval, and I don't see them putting in a good run at Texas either, and that's why I got him out.
Yeah. Bubba, I think solely because he ran good at Watkins Glen. He's going to run terrible at the Roval.
Yeah, I don't have any faith in Bubba at a road course. Yeah. I don't know. Like, all of them, I'll say Harvick, Bubba, and Kyle Busch, pretty much my reasoning for them being out is the Roval. I don't see any of them running in the top 15 at the Roval.
Oh, see, that's the only reason I maybe had Harvick going to the round of 8 was because of the Roval.
I think
there's so many guys you could pinpoint out that are not going to have a good Roval.
Reddick's just kind of like somebody's going to miss, and I think it's them.
Ironically, the reasons y'all are talking about for Kyle Busch, I I teetered with Kyle Busch being out in the round of 16 because they've been.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too.
And then I wanted him out in the round of 12, but I couldn't justify picking him ahead of some other guys.
I didn't, dude. I mean, that's a testament to these playoffs. It's like you don't know. There's so many guys that could be hell. If they get hot, they go to the fucking Final Four. But I mean, you could also see them. You could see them getting knocked out in the round of 16 easy.
Yeah,
like it's tight. Round of 8.
I got Buescher, Busch, Bell, Keselowski out.
Okay.
I got Buescher, Keselowski, Blaney, and Bell.
I got Buescher, Bell, Reddick, Brad. Do we all have the same Final Four?
I'm pretty sure. I think everyone has the same Final Four.
Okay. They've pretty much been the 4 best cars. 3 of them have the results to show for it, and one of them usually shoots himself in the foot.
What's the round of 8? It's Vegas, Martinsville, and what?
Vegas, Homestead, Martinsville. Honestly, I wrote my bracket earlier today at work, and I'm looking at it, and I'm trying to remember why I justified Ryan Blaney even making it to the round of 8. So while I ponder on that, y'all go ahead and talk about why you have guys out.
So
I really struggled with keeping an RFK car out of the Final Four.
Oh, I didn't. I think they're hot right now. I don't think that it's going to last the entire playoffs.
I think they're good everywhere. Like they're hot, but they're good everywhere.
Yeah,
you know why I disagree? Everywhere. You know why I disagree? Because since they've gotten on this hot streak, there's one type of track that we have not raced at, 1.5 miles, and we have 2 of those in that round. And I do not see them outrunning Hendrick or Gibbs at 1.5 miles, especially not at Homestead. They might be able to pull some shit at Vegas. They're not pulling anything at Homestead.
Were they good at California?
In February?
I think.
My point is that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean that was a long time ago.
That's the thing. Like Martinsville, they could, and even still, they weren't very good at Martinsville either. The rest of the Fords,
Brad finished like 5th.
Yeah, but he finished 5th because of his pit strategy.
Yeah, Joey Logano finished 2nd. He was lapped down like 3 times.
The Haas cars.
Kyle Larson won
because of pit strategy.
Yeah,
I'm not. Kyle Larson should have won like 5 races.
Brad finished 5th last year.
Yeah, Brad, they're good.
They're good. They're not.
We're talking about the 1.5 miles, though. That's what we were talking about.
I did say even at Martinsville, I didn't think they're going to perform well enough to beat Hendrick and Gibbs, and I stand by that. I'll say Kyle Larson won there in the spring. Kyle Larson should have won 5 races this year. That's not one of them. Yeah. That was not one of them.
I think Chris is good at Homestead. I think they're solid at Martinsville, and then Vegas. That is a fair point. It could be up in there. Bell, I don't think he's going to do what he did last year.
They don't have it right now.
No, they don't. Reddick, I think it'll be kind of. I honestly, the fact that if Reddick does make it to the round of 8, he's a Final Four contender because I think he'll be good at Vegas and I think he'll be good at Homestead. But I think he's gonna run dog shit 50th at Martinsville, and then Brad, again, I feel like those are strong tracks for Brad. I mean, he's won 78 times at Las Vegas. He's good at Martinsville. And, I think, I don't know. I teeter real hard with, not having an RFK car in the Final Four.
If I had to pick one, I'd pick Buescher.
I couldn't.
If I had to pick one, I'd pick Brad just because he's done it before.
So I think my reasoning for having Blaney out in the round of 8 is pretty self-explanatory. They have just not been good on 1.5 miles at all. I think the reason I had him going to the round of 8 was simply talent.
Did you forget the Coca-Cola 600?
Yeah.
Okay. I did. X-nay that one. X-nay that one. Let's look at the sample size here.
They've been bad everywhere but the Coca-Cola 600.
Literally. I wish that
You're not wrong. Crazy. I just thought the way you put that was just funny, just because of that.
I did forget the 600 even. You know what? That was a
said
long
that, and
weekend.
Seth and I looked at each other like, wait, hold on.
Okay, so the 600, I'll take.
Really, I never stopped moving that weekend.
If you take the sample size here for 1.5 racetracks, they have been trash at everywhere except the Coca-Cola 600. You want me to look at that or this? I'm looking at that.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot bigger sample here, and they've sucked.
Yeah.
And I mean, last year he was decent at Homestead until he forgot how to shift a race car. But that happened literally right in front of me. I watched it and I was like, what's Ryan Blaney doing?
What the dog doing?
What the Blaney doing?
What the Blaney doing?
Yeah. I just don't think RFK is going to. They're almost there, but I don't think they're there enough to beat Gibbs and Hendrick. And since we all have,
I think they're the Chris. Final. I think one of them might be the Christopher Bell.
Okay, you know what? If we're gonna say that, we all have the same Final Four. Anybody listening knows by now that our Final Four is
William Byron, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Larson. The guy who's won the most races, the regular season champion, the regular season runner-up, and the greatest race car driver in the world. So,
and I'm gonna be honest, if I had to replace any of those guys, I'd take Byron out for Buescher.
Yeah.
If I had to
100%.
If I had to take anyone out, I'd take Kyle Larson out because they haven't executed at all.
I don't, because Homestead exists.
Homestead exists.
I don't, dude. I teetered with him being out in the round of 12.
Vegas.
I did too. The round of 12. If Kyle Larson.
If he makes it past the round of 12, yes. Yeah.
Kyle
makes it past the round of 12, if he
Exactly.
makes it past the round of 12, he won the last race at Homestead, he won the last race at Martinsville, and he should have won the last race at Vegas.
He put it this way, he almost won the last two spring races at Vegas.
Yeah. So
he didn't. Something happened in the fall.
Yeah.
Last year.
Something happened. I think they were fast, but I don't think they finished that race.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But no, he's
like the round of 12 for Kyle is the problem.
Oh, the Bubba thing. Sorry, I forgot.
We knew. We knew.
Anyway, the round of 12 for Kyle is it's calamity. And especially if he can't find a way to win at any of the races in the round of 16, he's just going to be going in there with his pedestrian amount of playoff points he has, which I mean it's middle of the pack, but compared to where they could be, how many opportunities they've blown to get playoff points, I feel like it's just gonna bite them in the ass at some point. And we're gonna go to Texas, where who really knows Texas. Talladega, he's going to wreck, like guaranteed, unless there's not a wreck. And then the Roval,
check my Talladega pick.
The Roval, yeah, he's won before, he's run good before, but he's also done shit like last year where he just wrecked it.
Yeah,
for nothing.
I don't know. It's tough for me because what happened to him at Texas last year? I want to say they were fast.
They finished top 10, I think.
They won state. I think
look, y'all can jerk off Kyle Larson. Another time.
We're kind of shitting on Kyle Larson here for being bad at an entire round of the playoffs. Like they were fast at Texas, and then they didn't execute, and then they went to Talladega, and
Well, if y'all are giving all the reasons why Kyle's not going to make the Final Four, and we all put him in the Final Four.
I just said I thought about having him out in the round of 12. I just couldn't justify it over any of these other guys. And then
I think
he makes in the round of 8.
I think he makes it.
Makes it all the way.
I think he makes it just because eventually, as much talent as he has, he is going to put it together.
I think ultimately the likelihood of them showing up to Darlington and commencing Operation Teabagging is entirely possible. And
I think they've been fucking around. I think they've been doing the Jimmy Johnson thing that he did every year that we were all like, oh shit, Jimmy Johnson, he ain't shit this year. He won that race earlier, but he ain't shit now. What are you doing 6 times?
But also,
oh yeah, he just kicked our
I
ass
wouldn't put it past
again.
him. I wouldn't put it past him to win any of the 3 races in the round of 16. He's been fast at all of them. How many races should he have won at Kansas by now? Or that close?
Yeah.
A lot. And Bristol's his favorite track. You never count him out at Bristol.
I think he's gonna win Talladega.
You're nuts.
but he did pick him preseason to win at Martinsville, though.
I did.
Yeah, that's different. Well, I did say I can be quoted saying
I picked him
if
twice.
Kyle Larson wins at Martinsville, hell has frozen over. Well, I stood there in the grandstands in turn 4 and watched hell freeze over. And I will say it again. If Kyle Larson wins at Talladega, hell has frozen over a second time.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens twice in one calendar year.
I also don't think it's gonna I don't think that's gonna happen either. All right, so let's talk about the actual Final Four. Okay. Who do you have as your champion, Seth?
Truex.
Truex?
Chuck already showed it.
Yeah,
you have Truex too?
Truex.
I have no clue.
Well, you got a 1 out of 4 shot.
You gotta pick one.
He won there in the spring, so not William Byron.
He shouldn't have won that race either.
Exactly. He was like the 6th best car. Truex, they haven't been that great on these style of tracks this year.
I'm going to say something. I wrote down Truex, but I'm in the same boat as Buddy. I really don't know.
I don't think that type of track is gonna favor them.
So I actually wrote a piece not long ago for an article, and it was who was the bigger championship favorite, Byron or Truex. And the reason I actually picked Byron in that, it was like a 2-person thing. I picked Byron because Martin Truex Jr. has an outstanding average finish in Toyota equipment, mind you, at Phoenix of like 15.5. He, outside of 2021, if you go look at his stats, because I did all my research for that, get rid of 2021, he has an average finish of like 20. He has been god awful there, and they found something that year, and they should have swept that year at Phoenix. And other than that, he has sucked there.
I feel like ultimately we've seen with the Final Four race, though, the history
you
doesn't
don't
mean
know.
much.
You
Well,
don't know.
The history doesn't mean much.
It doesn't mean a ton, but like,
because
it definitely meant something last year. The only reason I thought Joey could win is I thought that was their best style of track. And that's a lot of the reason why I thought that, I mean, the Final Four last year played out kind of how I thought it was going to play out. Like, and I think this year has been more predictable. And I think that's going to, yeah, I have no clues.
What shades me from picking Denny is kind of the obvious. Like, I haven't seen them yet be able to perform and put together a championship, and I don't see it happening again. And if you pick William Byron, well, nobody swept Phoenix in ages unless your name's Kevin Harvick. So,
yeah,
which Kevin Harvick might actually just go out there and give a big old birdie to NASCAR and win that race. But
yeah.
And then Larson, I mean, if you pick Larson as your champion, you're assuming that they're going to go on a tear. The only way Kyle Larson goes into Phoenix and wins the championship is if they go on an absolute tear through the playoffs and he has all the momentum in the world. I mean, I'm talking if they don't go win Vegas or Homestead, don't pick him as your champion. If they don't have time to prepare that car, because otherwise he hasn't been good there. The year they won the championship, they were the 4th best car that day. And their pit
but he was
Harvick
had to beat him in the spring.
Kyle led 230 something laps this spring.
Yeah, Kyle Larson. I'm picking Kyle Larson.
They fell off a bit at the end, but I feel like they can make that adjustment.
Yeah, and
Okay, well, what
and
did they
that's
do
fine
last
because
year?
the car that was better than them isn't going to be in the Final Four anyway.
They ran
The
okay.
problem,
They ran okay there last year. They blew up in the spring, but they ran
they blew up in the
okay.
spring, and then they went there in the fall, and they were kind of
Yeah, they were kind of
ran.
nowhere.
They
They
weren't
were kind of
great.
nowhere.
They were like 10th.
Well, that's the problem. Is my point being, yeah, Kyle had a lot of laps there in the spring. Well, he's also sucked there at times. He's inconsistent there. It's the same thing as Truex. Like you don't know unless they have time to prepare that car. If you pick Larson or Truex, you don't know what version of them you're going to get there because
Well, that's
true.
they could show up there and suck.
We're
Or they
making
could show.
predictions 10 weeks out. We have no fucking clue what's going to happen.
I mean, true,
I
but
think
they could
The thing with Kyle though is I think the one thing to keep in mind is they did lead over 200 laps there in the spring. They've won Richmond, Martinsville, and North Wilkesboro, which are all in the same package. They've run really well at most of the tracks of this package. I feel like that's important. I'm still not picking them. I don't think they've executed well enough. Now, admittedly, yeah, we're saying they could go on a tear or whatever, but I don't think they have it. But I don't think there's any reason to say that they won't be fast enough.
if Kevin Harvick makes it to the round of 8, he's going to win the championship because he's going to win Martinsville and win Phoenix.
I've heard that before.
Well, you know what though? They could
Mhm.
absolutely go out and win Martinsville. They probably should have won Martinsville earlier this year.
Probably. Yeah, they should have.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say should have. I'm going to say probably should have.
But again, execution, which is
honestly,
why I don't think they're going to get out of the round of 16.
But you know what though? The only one, if you look at that Final Four that we all picked, only one of them is historically consistent at Phoenix, and he's pretty damn good there. And it's the guy nobody's going to pick because he can't win a championship. The other three, Byron, Truex, and Larson, you don't know if you're getting 5th place, 1st place, or 20th. Like, you don't know until you show up and unload and you're like, okay, that guy's fast. And the only reason I have Byron making the Final Four is because he's going to ride his 29 playoff points all the way there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the same reason Chase made it last year. Chase wasn't fast enough to be in the Final Four in that last
Chase
round.
wasn't fast enough to be in the round of 12.
They rode because they had a lot last year. They rode their playoff points all the way to the Final Four. And I think Truex is probably going to just win his way there, but I think they're going to be banking on that.
Yeah. All right. So we all pick Truex and I pick Larson.
I'm going to go ahead and say Kevin Harvick wins at Phoenix, though.
Yeah, because they're going to get knocked out in the round of 16, and they're going to spend 6 weeks working on the Phoenix car, and they're going to whoop ass.
All right. Y'all can believe that if y'all want. I don't believe shit.
I'll also say, just by stereotype, and not stereotypes, cut that. What's the word I'm thinking of? Hold on a second.
That's a great question.
Superstition. Just by superstition, Kyle Larson has never not won a race in the Valvoline car, and he has also never not won a race in the Valvoline car that I was attending. Therefore, Kyle Larson's winning Bristol.
You mean Kyle Larson's never not won a race in the Valvoline car?
So it's just a Larson fan thing where y'all have these stupid superstitions?
No, this is just something I've noticed. Just saying, like, the man just shows up in red, and I'm there, and then he wins the race.
Right,
kind of weird.
We almost been going 2 hours. Do we want to do our format thing?
I think briefly, yeah.
All right, let's do it. So we came up with our own
1:30.
Yeah, I know, right? Here, so we put together our own chase format, playoff format, whatever you want to call it.
Chuck format.
Yeah, our own Chuck format. And so we're going to give you that while I throw my cat off my table.
Again.
Oh, shit.
Go ahead, so very simply, since it has to be a playoff format, 9 races, 3 rounds, 12 drivers, get in on points. That's it.
Okay. Chase?
I think Seth kind of sort of stole my idea since he had to do a playoff format. Because just so y'all know, when we talked about this the other day, the Seth's format was try to quote it exactly how you did. He said, I got an idea. So 36 cars are entered, all the charters.
No, I said we'll call these charters.
We'll call these charters. And he said, we're gonna run races. And where you finish in those races, you're gonna earn points. And where you are in points, we'll call those the point standings. And at the end of 36 races, whoever has the most points is the champion.
Didn't you call them 36? We're gonna have 36
Oh yeah,
races,
no.
and they're gonna be, but we're gonna call them stages.
No. I said
36 rounds.
Yeah,
36 rounds.
Yeah, so we're gonna have 36 rounds of this playoffs. And yeah, when you win a round in the playoffs, you get points. Or wherever you finish in that round, you get points. And then at the end of the year, we'll just compile all these points that you've gained through the 36 rounds and then champion. I think it's simple.
So since Seth stole my idea, I'll explain it and tweak it a little bit. Top 10 get in on points. Last two are wild cards, just like the old wild card format. I believe it was 2011 to 2013. They used that format. So in a way, wins still matter because if you're outside the top 10, well, go win. If you can't get into the top 10, you'll make it. And from there, 9 races. So drop a race off the playoffs, 12 drivers, 3 rounds. So you go from 12 to 8, and then your final 4. Once you get to the final 4, it's 4 drivers for 3 races, all points. And those 4 drivers have to battle for points for 3 races. So you can't just show up at Phoenix with a rocket ship and be the 4th best car all year and then win the championship. You got to be the best car for 3 weeks out of those 4 cars. So that way you're keeping the rounds thing and all the drama and whatnot that comes with it. But at the same time, and you can even, I'm on the fence. You could even keep winning your into the next round. I'm okay with that. Like winning your in to get to the round of 8 and then the round of 4, because there'd still be a spot on points. But once you get to the round of 4, it's points for 3 races. Just go win a championship.
Okay. So mine is top 8 on points and 2 wild cards. 2 are eliminated each round. Still a 10 race playoff format. The playoff standings. The regular season, you get your playoff points for the entire regular season. And they carry you through the first round. Then the second round, you get the playoff points that you scored in the first round. So you basically are reseeded and awarded playoff points that you get in that round.
So like how they do the regular season championship, like you get
exactly.
that kind of thing? Okay.
Yeah, except for wins.
I hate everything about that. That was what sucked so bad about the original playoff format.
Well, no, because
the original playoff format, once you got into the second round, everybody was even.
Yeah, this is like you get your wins and if you win a stage in the first round, you carry that into the second round.
But only what you got in the first round. And your wins. And your wins. Okay.
So are you saying just all wins your wins? Stages?
Yeah, you only get you carry your wins all the way through, but you don't carry your stage wins.
Explain why.
I didn't realize that was the case until I started reading this.
Yeah, let me add an aspect to your idea that might make it better. So
my reason to it is I'm fucking stupid. That's not what this format is. I read it wrong. My format was you keep your playoff points all the way through. Okay. You keep all the ones you've got, but you're reseeded, but your playoff points. Okay, sorry. I fucked this all up. Okay.
I see that.
All right, start from the top. Top 8 in points, plus 2 wild cards, right?
Following.
The first round, right?
Yeah.
You get your
How many races is your playoff?
10.
Okay.
All right, you get your playoff points that you earn through the regular season. You take that in the first round. Then the next round, what you do is you reseed. You basically reseed by what the points are. And it's like the end of the regular season again.
Okay, so like the
Like
top
how-
10 get extra whatever. Like
So
it is now.
no,
but-
basically it'll go from if you leave the round of 16 as the leader, you get 5 more points than the guy behind you. And then it's 1 point down to the bottom.
So
basically.
exactly what Seth just said.
So like the end of the regular season.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I got to work this through in my head before I can't hear. Anyway, and you take that all the way to the final round. Like you get reseeded after the ninth race, and you get those playoff points and stage points count in the final race. That way, you still have that Final Four bullshit that they like for TV, but you add a little bit more legitimacy to it. Also, the 2 wild cards don't get any playoff points. If you really want to win this championship on a wild card, you're gonna have to fucking earn it. So it's only the top 8 that get to use playoff points. I guess in the first round, they can have them once they make it through first.
It sounds honestly fun, but way more complicated than we already have.
I've explained that terribly. I feel like it's more simple.
I
Just
feel
put
like-
it in writing and let America read it.
I feel
Yeah.
like when NASCAR makes a celebrity read it out loud so they can explain to the people how that is, it's still going to sound incredibly convoluted.
Basically, it's okay. Regular season, you get your play. You get
Really, the
awarded-
only difference other than the amount of them is that you're going to get reseeded and get additional playoff points based off your seeding. So I understand what you're saying, but it's going to sound more convoluted and confusing.
Considering there's people that don't understand how stage points and playoff points
Yeah.
work still, and we're how many years into this?
Yeah.
Like 7.
Yeah, you could have a whole crowd of people coming after you, buddy.
Well, I mean, it's
Less
it
intelligent.
It kind of makes it more like other sports. You get reseeded after every round.
Why do
don't
we
you?
want to be like every other sport?
I didn't
Yeah.
intend for it to be like that. I'm just saying if you want to explain it, it's kind
Well,
of
you don't get reseeded in hockey for what it's worth, but
okay. Well, either way, you basically get reseeded after every round and awarded points for that,
okay.
and that's it. Yeah,
Okay.
I like my idea better.
I like my idea better.
I'm shocked.
Seth's idea is my idea.
Ultimately, I like the 36 race fucking
Hey, I
stage.
do too.
36 round.
whatever.
race.
right.
Get it right.
So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy me poorly explaining everything the last 20 minutes.
All right, sundress and dumbass.
Sundress and dumbass.
I did
Um,
sundress. I didn't know what to do, so I just went with Ryan Preece for not dying.
That's fair.
For sundress, I'm gonna go with the Spire cars for both actually looking like a race team at Daytona, and Ty Dillon, like running not 35th.
My sundress is Michael Jordan. True underdog. Every embodiment of the sundress award. But he walked up to Booty Barker after the race and said, "Good job, man. See you next week." So and Booty's like, "You're coming next week?" And Jordan's like, "Hell yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for this run." So,
All right.
Shout out Jordan for really investing in it and sticking and being present.
I'll go last on dumbass. So y'all go ahead.
All
All right,
go
my
ahead,
dumbass
Seth.
is just NASCAR,
Okay.
just in general.
Okay.
Any explanation as to why?
He does this
No.
every other week. He picks
Okay.
NASCAR every other week. All right. No, you go ahead, Chase. I got a good one.
All right, you asked for it. So my dumbass for the week. I don't know if y'all heard or not, but it got announced today that SRX is looking into doing an international race this winter. And the
Saudi
two-
Arabia.
The two locations were Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Could we have picked any fucking worse of a place to go do an international race? So my dumbass is whoever in the fuck approved
I think he
those
comes
two
and gets
places.
seed at your place of business.
Yeah, so I really hope he's not the one that did that because I like the guy. But who in the hell in their right mind wants to take a bunch of American stock cars and go race in Saudi Arabia of all places? Could we pick a worse place on this planet to go race at than those two? So yeah, dumbass of the week goes to whoever thought,
Afghanistan.
okay, well, you know what? There's no racetracks in Afghanistan. We have to build them.
If we build it, they'll come.
It's the they we're worried about. So
Okay, all right. So my dumbass is the guy
whoever
who
approved
fucking
that.
Ross Chastained me on I-40 in Raleigh coming home from Wake County Speedway. Yeah, going down the damn highway. And this guy pulls off the exit ramp, probably drunk, and just full on like Ross Chastain. I guess it was more like Denny on Ross Chastain at Phoenix. He was like, hey, I'm going to the back and you're coming with me, and just put me straight in the Jersey barrier.
He was like, man,
And,
you could have lifted.
I damn sure tried. So shout out to that dumbass.
That one does beat mine. I kind of forgot that happened.
Yeah, I also forgot that I've gotten a whole ass car wreck.
All I know is I was
like
expecting to
Seth
go.
didn't realize he was in a car wreck until after he was in a car wreck.
I just know I was leaving Wake County Speedway expecting to go eat a nice warm slice of Domino's pizza, and I texted Buddy, "Hey, I'm leaving the track now," and he immediately calls me and says, "Hey, somebody just hit and run me on the interstate." And I said, "What? How bad is the car?" And he goes, "Oh, car's fine, just have a flat tire." And I'm like,
yeah. I mean, dude,
What?
he hit me fucking hard. It sounded like I totaled my car. Shout out to Volkswagen.
I'll add another dumbass of the week. Shout out to the Raleigh City Police for taking an entire hour to show up to the scene of Buddy's accident.
Yeah.
Real awesome of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was real cool. I appreciated that. I definitely didn't want to go home and watch the race. No. So yeah, if you guys see a blue Hyundai Elantra in the greater Raleigh area with my paint on the side of it
with left rear damage,
call me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Darlington picks. Well, Daytona, Buddy got it right. I
did get it right. Chris Buescher won, and I picked Chris Buescher to win. That means I got points.
So allegedly we're tied.
Allegedly we're tied. We're gonna.
We still need a recount at some point.
I think I might be actually ahead, but
that's what I figured. But anyway, so for Darlington,
we pick whoever now.
Now we can. I'm gonna pick Chase Elliott.
Oh. All right.
Did you see the look on that man's face after Daytona? Man's
that
is
was
ready to go.
That is the happiest I've seen Chase Elliott all year.
Yeah.
Man's is going to come in there with like no fucks to give whatsoever and just like happenstance on a win.
That's what it's going to take for Chase Elliott to win at Darlington. Some real big old happenstance. I'm going to pick Buck. I don't think he's racing. Fuck, I have no clue who I'm picking. Go ahead.
Chuck, do you have a
Martin Truex Jr.
Martin.
That's probably a good pick. You picked who? Chase Elliott?
Yeah.
Carson Hocevar.
Why? Wait, why? Why are you actually picking like a playoff driver?
Huh?
Why are you picking? Well, hang on. I'm good. There's rules. We don't have rules anymore. Like, you don't have to save guys. I just don't want to pick like my obvious one because, like, no, I'm not doing it.
I will go out on a limb while we wait for Buddy's explanation. There's an Xfinity race going on Saturday, and I'll tell you who's not going to win, and I'll tell you why. Kyle Larson is not going to win at Darlington. I don't care what any fucking pro analyst says because he's driving the 17 car. And if any of you NASCAR fans have paid attention over the past 2 seasons, if you know anything about that 17 car, it is cursed beyond curses can be. Like that's the most cursed thing on the planet. That 17 car will never win a race ever. So that it's not winning.
But did you guys see the cool bit I did in front of the 17 car on the grid of Darlington last year?
I filmed it, so yeah, I saw it.
I didn't.
Yeah,
terrible
of course
friend.
You didn't. Yeah, you're
a terrible friend.
Terrible.
Sorry.
Friend. Carson Host. Why? Because I think he's gonna beat Chase Elliott
in the 42 car.
Oh yeah, he is. Oh, he would have beat Chase Elliott in the fucking 7 car.
Well, if we're being honest, I don't think any single playoff driver, just give me one. I don't think Martin Truex Jr. is finishing better than 20th in that 42 car.
Fair.
That 42 car is trash. Like
it is.
Eric Jones, those cars don't come out of the same shop. I'm convinced. I drive by it all the time. It's about 2 miles.
Somebody else.
That shop's about 2 miles from my house.
No,
I'll say that right now.
You picked
the
Hocevar.
GMS shop.
Yeah, I'm picking Carson Hocevar.
All right.
For anybody that wants to come find me, the GMS shop is about 2 to 5 miles. I don't know exactly from my house, and I swear every time I drive by there that only the 43 cars in there. The 42 cars down the street somewhere in the woods.
There are 3 buildings: GMS, and then Legacy Motor Club, and then another building. I think that other building is where they build the 42.
That other building is actually
fabrication.
No, well, there's 4 buildings because the other building is I cannot remember the name of the team for the life of me right now. But
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
Christian Eckes drives their trucks.
Yeah, Bill McAnally.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Fun fact: it's where Evernham used to be.
Also, fun fact, that extra building that isn't a race team is where BKR used to be.
That's right. That's right. Shout out to Alex Bowman. He drove for BKR.
Shout out to Mike Hillman Jr. for being a crew chief there and letting me tour the shop. Love that guy.
Oh, Kevin Harvick. He's got 10 races left in his career.
Good for
shout out Buddy for picking Carson Hocevar.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Chase Elliott to blow up on lap 3.
Hey man, I have a selfie to prove that Chase Elliott finished last year.
I recall that.
Yeah.
I just feel like I feel like Chase is going to be more relaxed than he's ever been, and I feel like that'll be good.
I mean, ultimately, I think it's true, but I did wake up Sunday morning and the birds were chirping and the sky was blue, and Chase Elliott missed the playoffs. So
it's true.
I'm riding that high until next week.
All right.
Yep. All right, cool. Well, that's been the show. Appreciate you guys listening. Make sure you subscribe and like and share. And I don't know that you want to share, but do it anyway. I've been Buddy Pulley. You have probably been Seth Dalby. Chase, plug your shit.
Oh, yeah. So if you want to see any more of what I'm doing, that's up to you. But you can find it at frontstretch.com. Go to the search bar, type in my name, Chase Folsom. All my articles will come up. Go to frontstretch.com's YouTube channel. Any videos that are listed as Cars Tour were done by me. So if you want to go find it, go check it out. Check out the Cars Tour. It's awesome. It's growing. Cool stuff.
Yes, and that's backstretch.com.org.
Yeah, don't go to backstretch.net. That's not where you want to go.
Yeah, that's NASCAR fanfic porn.
All right. Bye, y'all.